Hi guys, today I have Kiara Jade and she is a relationship coach and self-worth consultant. She works on a one-on-one coaching with women and she has delivered workshops and webinars. Also, Kiara is writing a book which includes analysis of narcissism and codependency relationships, love addiction and what healthy relationships look like. Welcome, Kiara. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing really well.
Ah, love to hear that. So tell us, why are you a relationship coach and self-worth consultant?
So, I'm a relationship coach and self-worth consultant because I feel like the two go really hand in hand.
Mm,
Often, when we are really struggling in our relationships, sometimes it can come back to something that we're struggling with personally with our own self-worth. And I really like building those connections for my clients so that whether they're in a relationship or not in a relationship, they're developing and becoming the best version of themselves, falling in love with themselves, so
mm,
then they can be a mirror to that with their next partnership and their next relationship, so that person kind of loves them as much as they love themselves, kind of thing. um, I've had a bit of a personal journey as well with my relationships. I've always found relationships absolutely fascinating,
mm,
but a lot of it has come from personal experience, where I've had my own toxic relationships and kind of come out of it and done a lot of self-healing and self-development. And I feel like I've finally got to a point in my life where I can kind of share that with the world.
mm.
And kind of, I've got this strong message that I want to put out, and I really want to help as many people as humanly possible. And now's the time. What better time than now? So
So true.
yeah, that's, I guess, what led me here.
So true, so true. Well, let's share it. So let me see the next question. So, how did you notice that you were in a toxic relationship?
So this is an interesting question. Thank you for asking it.
Mm,
When I was in a toxic relationship, I almost didn't realize when I was in it. It took me a while. And even afterwards, it was more afterwards that the penny dropped. And I was like, oh my God, I was manipulated for that entire time.
mm.
But there were like a few little signs during the relationship. So I'm going to go on a bit of a story time here.
It's fine. All good.
Yeah. I used to do singing lessons, right? And we had a concert coming up. I was all excited about that. And I'd invited my partner, who was the toxic relationship. And I'd said to him, come to my house at 7 o'clock. The concert's at 7:30.
Mm,
We'll go together.
mm,
And he just went ahead and like didn't listen to that and just did his own thing and turned up at 6 o'clock. And I hadn't practiced. I hadn't warmed up my voice. I hadn't done any of that stuff that I didn't want to do while he was around. I felt really uncomfortable. Sometimes vocal warm-ups are a bit weird and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's fine.
um, yeah. And then, so I was a bit taken aback. I was on the back foot. Oh, okay. Like, you're here now. Okay. I guess I have to kind of just manage that. And he did that a few times to me. Like, I gave specific instructions, like, and it just was unheard, and he would just do his own thing and kind of whatever he wanted to do anyway. And then I got to the singing concert and I did a horrible job. Like, my whole first
Oh,
verse was not good because I hadn't warmed up. Hadn't given
mm,
myself that time to do whatever I needed to do to make sure I was on top notch for the concert. And I think that was a bit of a turning point for me. It made me stop and think and go, hey, wait a minute. That's not okay that he just kind of disrespected or disregarded what I'd said and just kind of went ahead and did what he wanted to do anyway because he was bored. So he just showed up. And I'm like, I don't want to be with someone who kind of doesn't listen to me when I ask them kind of, hey, can you just respect this boundary?
mm,
And so once that happened once or twice, I was like, okay, I think it's time to leave this relationship. And I did. And I'm really proud of my younger self for doing so. But it wasn't until I'd left that everything else, all the trauma kind of flooded in. And I was like, wow, there was a lot that I didn't even realize was happening right under my nose there. And now I need to process all of that. Yeah.
mm. That is really, really good because as well as a codependence, we are in denial. It's like, no, it's fine. Maybe some friends and family tell us like, it doesn't look like right this relationship, and like we try to make it work.
Yeah.
Denial.
I'm someone who always likes to see the best in people, and I like to be really positive and stuff. So I found that in that relationship there was a bit of, oh, it's all good, it's fine. like, I'll let that go or I'll let that slide. It's not the end of the world. But after time, it does build up and it gets to a point where you get a bit resentful because you are always letting those things through. And I wanted to be this perfect girlfriend who was always happy and bubbly and smiley. And I think I had to let go of that in order to truly have a healthy relationship where you are not necessarily happy and bubbly all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so good. This is so good conversation. Let's see my next question.
Thank you.
What did happen that you decided to stop that relationship? So you mentioned already those couple of things, but my question is, I don't know if I may ask you, up to you, if you want to respond. Do you suffer like a domestic violence, or do you suffer just manipulation and abuse, yelling, swearing?
So it definitely wasn't physical violence. I would probably call it more emotional abuse, where there was a lot of manipulation, a lot of gaslighting, and just tactics to kind of wear down my self-worth and my self-esteem. And I realized once I came out of that, I didn't have any boundaries. I didn't have any vocabulary to say no and to look after myself first, because I was so fixated on being this perfect girlfriend who just did anything and everything for her partner. And it was kind of that hurt the worst, that I'd kind of picked him over me. And I guess that was what I had, the journey I had to work through. And then there was a lot of fear. There was so much fear after that what if this happens again? And what if I end up with someone who disrespects my boundaries? And dating just took a whole different perspective for me. And I was just so afraid of being with someone who was a bit like kind of dominant, not even necessarily controlling, that I found that I tried to play that role, even though that wasn't really my natural way of being. So I ended up dating in the next relationship people who were kind of yes men, who would just be like, yeah, Kiara, whatever you want to do. Yeah, let's do that. Never really had opinions because that's how I felt safe. I knew that I kind of was in control of what we were doing and where we were going and things. And that's the only way I could have a relationship where I felt safe. But of course, those relationships didn't really last because I wasn't really vulnerable with them and I wasn't really connecting with them on that level. It was providing me safety, but it wasn't providing me connection.
That is so good to know, because sometimes like you did, we try, we go to another relationship because we haven't healed, and we don't know about ourselves, and like our own relationship or the baggage we carry from the last relationship. So good what you're saying, but your language is so beautiful.
Thank you. I feel like every new relationship you learn something about yourself, and that's what I love. So after those ones, I realized, oh, that's what I was doing. It wasn't actually love or attraction there. It was just protection and safety that I was going for.
Oh yes. I know. Okay. How important is to break the cycle of falling into the same kind of relationship?
So it's so important to break the cycle of falling into the same relationship. So I feel like relationships are often a life lesson. We think we're going in and we're going to find love and everything's going to be amazing, but 90% of the time they are just a lesson of how we can grow and change, because a lot of the time people don't want to self-develop. They don't want to go through the pain of change. But what's something that we were willingly jump into? A relationship, because that's all fun and games. It's not always. Sometimes it is. And so that was, I guess, my next step in my learning journey. And sorry, can you repeat the question? I've lost myself. I lost my train of thought.
It's about not falling in the same cycle relationship.
Of course. So for me personally, I found, because I still had that underlying fear there that hadn't been processed, I didn't know how to deal with that emotion. I was too young. So I just kind of buried it and pretended it never happened and that everything was fine and that relationship did not exist. And so I went into my next relationship, realized I was doing the safety thing, stopped for a bit, and then I'd gotten a bit older by that point, started going out to like pubs and clubs and stuff. And I just noticed one day that I'd started learning a lot about law of attraction. And I found that I was in this pub or this bar, and all these guys who were very disrespectful, very rude, pushing of boundaries, not nice at all, were just attracted to me. Like it was 3 or 4 times I just kept finding these kind of guys coming up to me. And I was terrified. Like, I was like, why does this keep happening to
Yeah.
me? Like 4 times in the space of a month, I think it was. And I was just like, what? Like, I was ready to enter the dating game again, but then that happened and it really made me shift my perspective. I was like, what is it about my situation that is drawing these people to me at the moment? And I realized it was because I'd never processed that other toxic relationship, and I still had that fear, and I still wanted to protect myself because I was so afraid of men, essentially. And that's when I realized, okay, I need to go back and I need to work through this, because if I don't work through this, I'm going to keep attracting these people to me. And that's ultimately how I broke the cycle, by working through the past and dealing with all the emotions that were sad and angry and hard to kind of process at the time, because I just wasn't in the right headspace for it. And then by letting that go and kind of finding my own boundaries, finding my own sense of safety within myself so that I didn't fear the world anymore, that's when I found I broke the cycle.
That's really
I'd learned the lesson that I needed to learn so I could move forward in my relationships.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
is.
that's why I love to help women now to do the same thing, because it's so freeing when you can. Yeah.
Yes, first is like it's a challenge to face ourselves.
Such a challenge.
Like I just to be a mess, cry, angry. It is a challenge, and for that reason, we as a relationship coaches, we are there to guide. Because some people, they are afraid to express anger because they think they are going to become crazy, like a distressed stuff. But there are different ways how you can express it, and for that reason, we exist. Like we
Yeah.
work with women, and the other guys, they are relationship coaches for men, and so on. So to provide this caring and like looking after them.
Yeah, I think half of being a relationship coach is providing that safe space for them to feel whatever they need to feel, whether it's anger, whether it's just cry their eyes out the whole session. If that's what they need, they just need someone to be there to validate that and acknowledge that that's okay. You're
Yeah.
allowed to go through that. Because I think in today's society, we're so like phobic to emotions. We just want to block them all out and pretend they don't exist and just plaster this fake smile on our face. But it's just not realistic.
That's true. But you know what? With what we are living in part of history about the pandemic and being at home
Mm,
isolated,
mm.
everything is going to come up, darling. Because it's like
Of course.
whatever happened at home is like we hide it at work and we go
Mm,
to work, you know. And after when we come back at home and we try to deal with the thing, but now it's like everybody at home. So women
yeah.
who are single or men who are single, like oh, what I'm going to do by myself, or roommates, issue with roommates, or issue
Mm.
with the partner, issue with the kids, and it's like I cannot handle this, and so on. And society is like that nowadays. A lot of people need to manage emotions.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really easy when we've got work or we've got something else to just focus on, to jump into that, or, oh, the children need this, I'm going to jump into that. But now that we're at home, home's where you can kind of sit and actually think and kind of go through everything and have that time to overanalyze, sometimes to the nth degree. Um, so I think that might bring up a lot of things for people, because they have the time to sit there and not focus on other things and actually look inward towards themselves. Yeah.
Now is the time, darling.
Yeah.
We are doing this interview like this in Zoom. Now is the time to feel.
Yes, feeling is healing. That's my
I
motto.
love that. Feeling is healing. Yeah. My next question for you. Are you in a relationship?
I am in a relationship at the moment,
Yeah.
and I'm proud to say it is the best relationship I've ever been in.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I think that's proof to me that I have broken the cycle and I have found someone who kind of is my equal. I used to be someone who would always want to help the other person and heal them and look after them, and it was all one-sided. But
Mm,
this relationship, I said to myself, no, I want someone who looks after me as much as I look after them.
mm.
And I've gotten that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You know why I'm
um,
celebrating is because of about what you are saying. It's like you are aware you broke the cycle. Plus you have the standards. I don't want to save anybody, and I want an equal. I look
yeah.
after him or her, well them, and I want do the same to me. So it's yeah. That is really good.
Yeah. Well, like within 6 months of our relationship, I think we both went through really, really hard times.
Mm.
Like a point where I was very flat and very low and not my usual self. And he went through the same thing. And we were both there for each other. We were just able to give each other that space, that safe space to be vulnerable. We saw the worst of the worst, and we kind of um, like loved them anyway and gave them that space and could continue that relationship. And we were so much stronger after that, because I knew that we could handle anything if we could handle that, you know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's always what I wanted, not it being one-sided, where it's all about one person's opinion and the other person's a bit quieter, so they just kind of let anything go. um, I wanted it to be a level playing ground.
That is so good, so good. Because what I can see, you respect each other, and that is like a part of the whole relationship thing, and even more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Love it,
being able
love
to
it.
communicate what you're really thinking and feeling is everything.
And the other person respecting is a, for
Yeah.
me, it's an expression of love. I don't know
Mm,
for you. So it's like a wow, that is amazing.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
so happy for you, Karen.
I'm very lucky.
About lucky, darling, nah, you did your work. You work on yourself to remove all that baggage and stuff
You're definitely 100% right. Yeah, there
to
was a
be
lot of
who.
work, but we got there.
I think you will have to define what is lucky. It's hard work. It's yourself. Sometimes, yeah, I think you will use that word to say something, but it's like that behind that word has a lot of meaning in different areas. Because some people say,
Yeah.
"Oh, they are so lucky, they're very successful." Yeah, but honey, do you know
Hmm.
how many tears they have cried? No, not about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um. Well, I have another question, which I don't have in there, but anyway. Can you give an example of who are the clients who come to you? Like I did, no clients, but I mean people. Who are the women
Yeah.
who come to you, and how you help them sorry, about the self worth?
Yeah. So I love working with women who, so they've left their abusive or toxic relationship, and
Mm,
then they're in that space of, I want to find love, I want to
mm,
step back into the dating game, but I'm so afraid. So
mm,
I love to work with where I was at in that place. And there's a lot of unknown there. It's like, I don't know why I'm so afraid. I don't know why I feel the need to protect myself. There's that past trauma that's underlying everything that might not have been really acknowledged. A lot of my strength in coaching is finding kind of like the reason why we do what we do, and that like unconscious insight stuff
mm.
that sometimes people don't usually pick up. Like you can do all this thinking and working on yourself, but sometimes it takes another kind of perspective to kind of point something out to you, and you're like, oh, and it just clicks.
Mm.
That's what I love. I absolutely love working with people to get to that point, because I feel like once you have insight into something, once you know why you're reacting the way you're reacting, you can work to change it if you want to, or you can work to kind of heal it. But if you don't know why, you're just going to keep like the pattern continuing, you know what I mean? Because there's no insight to be able to shift it or to be able to be aware when it's happening.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what I love to work with. I'm also going to start a little online course, which is about self-worth, and kind of building your self-worth, building your boundaries, building your standards, really healing. How do you feel your emotions to be able to heal whatever's been going on in your past? And I'm hoping to launch that maybe next year. Yeah, and then I've got my book as well, so I'm loving writing about my book at the moment. So.
That's really, really amazing. I don't know if you could hear my dog was snoring.
Oh no.
And I was thinking, but anyway, that is so good, so good, so good. Because it's about what you were saying. Without the awareness, we we cannot change. First, we need to
Yeah.
be aware about what we do. Exactly what you were saying. It's so true, so true, so true. Okay, cool. My next question: where people can find you?
Yeah, so I have a Facebook page called Katie Industry Relationship Goals. So if you search that up, you'll be able to find me. Would love you to like my page, and then you can follow everything I'm doing, and the next talks I'm doing, that kind of thing. And then I also have a YouTube channel, which is Katie Industry Relationship Goals as well, I believe, where I put out
Yes, it's the same
videos
name.
about relationships.
Yeah.
Pardon?
It's the same name. Kitty in the
Yeah, yeah.
fire-based diet.
Look for the purple, you'll find it. Yeah, so I talk about kind of emotional manipulation tactics on my YouTube channel. I talk about values in relationships and how that differs between like both partners, standards, all that kind of stuff, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And do you have Instagram?
No, I don't, but I'm gonna get one soon.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Tell us, tell me, and I put it in the description below. Okay. Okay.
great.
Thank you, Kiara. Now I'm going to talk with the audience. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to contact Kiara, it is in the description below. Her all of her details where you can find her. Thank you so much, guys, and see you next time.
Thanks, guys.